Maybe I can find myself among the asphalt. I am one with the tires that turn underneath my feet. You can find me where the wheel meets the axle. Through the years I've come to learn what it is to feel. Turning the wrong way, I can't tell which way to go, man, this is hell. Sending my love in every shell. Which way to go? I see the competition racing for the finish line. Can I even trust myself? In a fight to finish, first you come in second. You're the worst, I really hope you prepared yourself. Cause I've been drifting round these corners with you, driving through my mind. I've been taking every shortcut just to reach the finish line. Maybe you can try and stop me like the ones before you tried. But if I reach into my pocket, you won't see the other side.
Haircut, haircut. Yeah, I got a haircut. Y'all can stop asking now. Oh, the word is out. The jig is up. Yo, is that a haircut? Yo, that's a haircut, right? Yes. My God, bro. Yo, nice haircut. The glazing is crazy. The glazing is crazy.
As is tradition. What's poppin' all you maniacally musty Mario Kart meatheads? It's your boy Shottyflo, and we are finally back with a new episode of the Mario Kart Ultimate Roster Reveal.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
Oh baby, it feels good to be back. After being called a white trash soy boy by a bunch of angry people, I decided that maybe I should heed some of their advice and just chop the flow. Not the shoddy flow. Nonetheless, welcome back. We're gonna get things rolling right here after a word from our sponsor, you guys. Episode 6 is brought to you by all you Funky Kong fanatics, because without your guys' support and enthusiasm about this series, I probably wouldn't still be here doing it. This is also a reminder, if you're new here, to go watch the rest of the series, because it's most enjoyable without things being spoiled like they will be very. Last episode, we threw a hat on a lizard and glided on through the Odyssey pack, but as I'm sure all of you are aware, some shit went down between the last part and this very moment. Nintendo dropped Wave 6, which proved that Nintendo don't do math too well, and that the Jungle Pack is in need of some urgent restructuring. So, in classic Mario Kart Ultimate fashion, at the end of the video, I will be putting up a selection of characters to be randomly picked for a seat in the Jungle Pack. Toadsworth fans, I hope you've got your fingers crossed. Mind you, there were 3 characters from the Jungle Pack that were freshly announced: the acclaimed artist and rapper P. Diddy, Spunky Dong, and Paul. Because of this, and the fact that my original graphic corrupted, I have had to create the brand new Mario Kart Ultimate graphic. Holy moly! But there was of course one character that Nintendo threw into the mix in the 11th hour, and that's Peachette, who I've already shared my opinion on in other videos, so I'm not gonna harp on it here anymore. Peachette heads, rise up, because you've got a war to wage with the Mario Kart 8 fanbase. So to say the least, we've got some work to do this episode. Let's get into the brand new pack for part 6. Drum roll, please! This episode, we've got the Trap Pack. No, I don't mean the Travis Scott kind of trap, or the Thailand kind of trap. I mean the bob-omb on the last turn type of trap. I'm talking about the fake item box kind of trap. I'm talking about that, okay, you get it. Without further ado, let's find out who the very first driver of the Trap Pack is going to be. You know him, you tolerate him, it's Gaben. Also known as Spike, this little frog turtle love child has some big balls and a throat of steel.
What do you mean by that?
Spike first appeared in Super Mario Bros. 3 and has quite the extensive career in the Mario universe. Whether it's balls or poles, Spike's got the space in that black hole of a gullet.
Take heed. Spikes have room in their stomachs for unlimited ammunition.
Unlimited room for something else too, you feel me? You feel me? You feel? Regurgitating stuff and throwing it at people is Spike's specialty, so why don't we just throw him onto the roster? He's a pretty well-known character in the Mario universe thanks to his many appearances as an enemy throughout the years, but I'm personally interested in his history as a playable character, which began back in Mario Party 10, where he was an unlockable character who could be purchased for 600 coins.
Is that all I'm worth to you?
Spike Spike also appeared more recently as a playable character in Mario Tennis Aces, where he was a power character. That's what I like to hear, baby. So powerful that he doesn't even need to go into his shell for protection. Well, he couldn't really even if he wanted to. Look at how tiny that thing is. Bro got the Koopa equivalent of a micro penis. However, Mario Tennis Aces wasn't Spike's first appearance in a Mario sports game because he was playable in Mario Sports Superstars, along with the reskin option that he's getting in Mario Kart Ultimate, Stone Spike. Stone Spike is identical to regular Spike besides the skin and hair colors just being flipped. There's no crown, he's not any bigger, this is not another Boo argument that needs to happen, I'm making him a reskin. I think that a lot of people actually want Spike to join the roster because he's even been left out of the Tour Zone. By the way, you guys made me reconsider giving Tour a third chance to prove that it's fun. If you guys want to see me take on my corporate nemesis, I'm willing to accept the challenge. Spike is a great pick for a lightweight driver because he's a long-standing member of Bowser's army, his character design is unique, he has a nice alternate colorway, and of course, because he's full of metal balls, who knows? Maybe he'd be the first tiny heavyweight character. I don't know, but why don't we keep this spike ball rolling? Alright, for this next one, we actually do have another Boo/Piranha Plant argument, which might give you a clue as to who it is. Coming from the depths of the Mario on a trench, it's the big squirter himself, Blooper. Blooper quite possibly has the most longevity out of any character we've talked about so far in this series, having appeared all the way back in Super Mario Bros. That's the first one. Back then, they were known as Bloobers. Goobers. And I mean, the list of appearances really just goes on and on. Aside from being the meanest squirter in the Mario universe, Blooper is known far and wide for being in just about every body of water in Mario games, as well as being the most annoying item to deal with here in Mario Kart. I know it's a little bit odd to have Blooper get blooped by Blooper, but since there's no singularly significant Blooper in the Mario universe, I think we can just chalk this up to classic squid-on-squid domestic violence. The ocean is their home, after all. Blooper usually appears as an enemy or a background character, but Blooper actually first appeared as a playable character in Mario Party 8. I think that if Blooper can compete in the Mario Party minigames with his nubby little tentacles, then he should be fine to drive a go-kart. Blooper was also playable back in Super Mario Sluggers, so he can also hold a bat, as well as a tennis racket because he was introduced post-launch to Mario Tennis Aces. I mean, this is one dexterous squid, we gotta let him in. Strangely enough though, Blooper has a PhD and used to spend a lot of time in the hospital saving the people, or fungus, of the Mushroom Kingdom. Not exactly sure why it got shut down. I smell something fishy. He's got more than enough going on for him. From a long career in plumber hunting, to passing the Mushroom Kingdom medical licensing exam, to amounting a respectable few showings as a playable character throughout the years. Ooh, Blooper also strongly utilizes the King Boo method of using poltergeist or some form of telekinesis to push down the gas pedal. Maybe he shoots his little jets of ink to push the pedal down. I don't know, man, this thing is kinky as hell, squirting on like 9 people at once sometimes. I think it's about time that Blooper gets a little taste of his own medicine. What do you say? Alright, this next character is someone who wasn't on my radar until I started doing research for this show. This character was first featured in Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic, which translates to Dream Factory Heart Pounding Panic, and is actually just what Westerners know as Super Mario Bros. 2, because the original sequel, Super Mario Bros. Lost Levels, was too difficult for us smooth-brained Westerners apparently, which was then altered and brought back to Japan as Super Mario USA. I hear that in this version, Mario actually eats Big Macs to grow in size. I mean, that would be more realistic, let's be real. I truly have no idea what was going on with this game. But the character in question is none other than Ninji. Ninji is a character that supposedly haunts the dreams of NES players and has been around the Mario universe for a very long time. Have you seen this man in your dreams? Interestingly, Ninji didn't originally serve under Bowser, but was instead a minion of Wart. Add Wart to the list. Goddamn. Ninjis have an interesting relationship with Mario spin-off games, as they've only been playable one time for a character that has been around for such a long time. And of course, it was Golf. Golf Super Rush was released 2 years ago, so perhaps Ninji is making a comeback. And maybe their Mario Kart debut will be in Mario Kart 9, or 10, or X, or whatever, instead of Mario Kart Tour, if we're lucky. I like Ninji's design a lot, especially in Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. They just look so goofy, like they want to be stealthy ninjas, but they're just not that good at it. I'm not sure why they haven't been featured in more spin-off games, like they weren't even on the Sluggers roster, and they were letting just about anyone in there. Like I said, I was clueless about the existence of these little guys until recently, so I'm happy to spread the word. Ninji will be sneaking his way onto the roster. Next. Next up, we got a classic. I know that a lot of you have your fingers crossed that tracks like Wii Rainbow Road will come back in Wave 6, but the one I'm really holding out for is Airship Fortress. You see where I'm going here? That's right, Bullet Bill is coming in as the 88th character in Mario Kart Ultimate.
You can come on the bus.
Psych! It's Rocky Wrench, baby! Like his close cousin Monty Mole, Rocky Wrench has actually appeared in mainline Mario games, but not as a playable driver. So once again, just take his model and put it into the damn... Dwayne The Rock Johnson first appeared in Mario Kart on Airship Fortress on the DS, and then later appeared on GBA Battle Course 1 in Mario Kart 7, and a handful of tracks in Mario Kart Tour. He's been around the block. But of course he hasn't just appeared in Mario Kart games, as Rocky Balboa has been plugging away at the Koopa Clan's vehicles ever since Mario Bros. 3. As far as I can tell, Rock Moleman hasn't been featured as a playable character in any games. Ever. This is some bullshit, man. Call John Nintendo right now. I see the Rocky Wrenches as like a domesticated Monty Mole. It would be hilarious to watch him balance the manhole cover on his head while racing, man. We gotta make this happen. Interesting note, in the MS-DOS game, Super Mario Bros. And Friends When I Grow Up, Rocky Wrenches are referenced as being pit crew members, so they clearly know their way around a race car. I really don't have to argue much as to why he would work since Montimus is already playable in Tour. So I guess now we just have to wait for Airship Fortress to come out so I can grab Rocky by the neck and force him into the driver's seat. I for one don't think it's fair that Monty gets to have all the fun while Rocky literally gets driven over every time he's in the game. So I'm starting the rock and roll movement, working tirelessly to ensure that Rocky Wrench gets rolling in Mario Kart's future. Please donate. He's just a little guy.
Hey, Rocky Wrench, all you gotta do is open our cage, and this
Amurant Pussibir.
is yours.
Then how about letting us borrow one of your wrenches for a minute?
Okay, that's it. See if we ask you along on our next plumbing job.
Speaking of Rocky, this next guy is cruising for a bruising and is coming from beyond the grave to rock your ass on Twisted Mansion. Broozer is coming in as the 89th driver and he is not pulling any punches. His first appearance is quite a bit later than the first 4, with Broozer making his debut in New Super Mario Bros. For the DS. He's described as being a humanoid ghost with a sheet over his head. So he is dead, but he also put the sheet over him just to make sure no one got confused. Seems like a nice guy. So Broozer's main goal in life is to bruise. Maybe not so nice of a guy after all. Who'da thunk? Broozer has appeared in most of the new Super Mario games, but hasn't strayed too far, having not appeared in any Mario Galaxy games or 3D games. They were featured in a Super Mario Party minigame where a horde of bruisers would chase you down a tight corridor, and if you choose the wrong path, you would literally get beaten to death like a live leak video. Broozer's design is very well suited for Mario Kart. I mean, he's got hands, he's even got feet. What? Ghosts don't need feet. Silly Broozer. Anyway, I see a ghost character, I add it to the roster. No questions asked. Next. Alright, let's have a moment of silence for Hammer Bro being absolutely shafted by John Nintendo in the final hour in favor of the glorified Peach reskin. Thank you. Thank you. By the way, yo, I'm not saying I'm funny, but I make jokes. I hyperbolize. I might be pretty hard on Nintendo, but it's all in good fun, and I don't actually hate the Koopalings or Peachette or Splatoon. Like, come on now, I'm not that unhinged. Or am I? Hammer Bro is a character we've already talked about because they should have rightfully had a seat on the roster by now. But did y'all know that Hammer Bro has a big brother? Sledge Bro is drifting in to tear down the competition. Sledge Bro basically looks like the creator of Hammer Bro handed it off to the new guy who has an inflation fetish, and instead of firing him, they were like, well, you know what? That ain't half bad. They are, of course, just a larger and more rotund version of Hammer Bro, but with a pinch of depression. May have some body dysmorphia going on. Come on, man, it's alright. You got the dad bod. Girls like that, right? Oh, it's not 2015 anymore? My fault, bro. Hit the damn gym. The main difference besides their size is that they throw fucking sledgehammers, obviously, and they're so heavy that they create earthquakes, so that's pretty terrifying. Apparently these dudes made a cameo appearance in Mario Kart Wii on none other than Daisy Circuit. Son of a bitch. So you're telling me that not only did they add Peachette to the game when my lovely, chubby besto friendo was available, but they also added him to the game on the sidelines? I mean, talk about disrespect. Sledge Bro has been around for quite a while, dating back to Super Mario Bros. 3, but their career is more comparable to that of Broozer's, with both of them mostly just being featured in the new Super Mario Bros. Game. Sledge Bro would be a nice heavyweight driver, and honestly, I don't want to be on the other side of that hammer, so I'm just gonna let him in and move on. Wait, I gotta bring it back to talk about how Sledge Bros replaced husks in the Minecraft texture pack, one obscure character replacing another. Poetic. Last, but certainly, oh certainly not least, we have the king of... Is this right? Is this right? It is? This is real? The king of that? Okay. The king of walls. King Whomp is an iconic enemy from the older 3D Mario titles such as Mario 64, where he was the second boss of the game, waiting to be fought in, you guessed it, Whomp's Fortress. And everywhere online called him Whomp King, but I think that sucks, so I'm changing it to King Whomp.
Deal with it.
Now, I don't really know how we're gonna fit the Slab King down into a cart. Like, I'm not super convinced that this one would work. I mean, this guy is huge, but god damn it, they need to at least try. King Whomp and just the Whomps in general are some of my favorite enemies because they're just so goofy and their existence is literal hell. Their arms and legs are too short to do any real fighting, so they have to resort to literally just slamming their faces into the ground. It's a pretty elite fighting technique, and I'm not surprised that none of you have heard of it, but forehead no jutsu is a highly secretive form of combat only taught to the most prestigious of rectangles with the sharpest edges. King Whomp has far fewer appearances than I thought he did, but I do find it cool that they brought him back as a boss in Super Mario Galaxy 2. Which was 14 years after his debut. And believe it or not, his only other real appearance in a Mario game other than Dr. Mario World was in Mario Party 3, where all he does is be an asshole and lay down in the road like a climate protester. One piece of Whomp trivia, which I know you're all dying for, Whomp trivia, is that the Whomps are actually designed after a Japanese yokai known as Nurikabe, which translates terrifyingly to plaster wall, known in English as simply the wall. The Nurikabe typically takes the form of an invisible wall that simply blocks or misdirects travelers as they're walking. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just what Japanese people used to tell each other instead of admitting that they got lost. Bro, you're late. Where have you been? Dude, you won't believe it. I ran into the invisible world boundary and had to wait for the fucking loading screen to end. Fucking moron, bro. Just next time fast travel, you baka. I'm sorry, Sensei. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know if King Whomp's gargantuan SpongeBob SquarePants looking ass is really capable of balancing on Mr. Scooty. I mean, dude, look at this footage. I mean, shout out to Rafnin for salvaging a nightmare of a character. You did a really great job, but this shit is just so goofy. And maybe there's a reason he's not in Mario Kart after all. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode of the But wait. There's more. So let's hear from Shottyflo on the scene. Thank you very much, Shottyflo. Now look, as I mentioned earlier, there were 3 characters from the Jungle Pack who were freshly announced, which means we gotta go back and replace those bitches. And look, I know you guys. I know what you want me to do, but I'm not doing it, okay? Cranky, lanky, tiny. Look, that's too easy, all right? Plus, I've got future plans, so stop trying to ruin them. So today there will be no free passes given to any Kongs, okay? Just because it's the Jungle Pack does not mean the Kongs get a free pass. So in classic Mario Kart Ultimate fashion, we'll be doing a random selection to figure out who's replacing them. But today we're straying away from the picker wheel. I know, sacrilegious. And I've got with me this chalice full of names. And look, fair warning, okay? Like I said, I've got plans for future packs, and I can't ruin them. So these characters in this chalice are what I call the scraps. These characters are very obscure, okay? Now mind you, just because these characters are getting in before your favorite character, Toadstool fans, doesn't mean that your character isn't coming. It just means that I might already have some planned for them. So without further ado, why don't we get in and pick the first driver? All right, the cards have been properly shuffled. I'm pulling one out. What do we got? All right, I got one. We've got the Robotic Nightmare. Ba-boom. This is very epic. The Robotic Nightmare is either a member of or just the entire super team from Super Mario Strikers. I think they're just supposed to be called supers, but that's extremely lame, and Robotic Nightmare sounds fucking badass. The super team was the only unlockable team in Super Mario Strikers, and that is literally their only appearance besides a cameo in the credits of Strikers Charged. But that does count as one appearance as a playable character. W. They look absolutely badass and are affiliated with Bowser, as you unlock them by beating the Bowser Cup. The Robotic Nightmare would be extremely out of place in Mario Kart, but at the same time, I would jump out of my chair and through the fucking roof if they actually actually join the roster. There really is not much lore on these guys, as they merely operate as the final boss for a soccer spin-off game. I'm trying to mention him in every episode, and I finally found my chance this time, because the super team actually has a robotic gritter as their goalkeeper, which I have to say is the best character ever created. I'm a Strikers fanboy, so pulling the Robotic Nightmare makes me feel a little bit happier. But that's it for Diddy's replacement. Let's see who's next. All right, they're ruffled up. Who's it gonna be? Pull from the top. We got Boshi. So Boshi is a very interesting one because he comes from a world that I have personally never delved into. I'm talking about Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars. Boshi's only appearance is in Super Mario RPG, where he plays the role of Yoshi's rival. His appearance is actually very distinct, as he's got more going on than just being a blue Yoshi. His defining features are of course his slick shades, his big titty goth GF choker, his house arrest anklets, his fangs, and of course, he's the only known Yoshi who just lets his dogs breathe in the wind. Boshi's whole deal is that he lives on Yoster Island and has profited greatly from the Yoshi race war. And what I mean by that is that Boshi was the final winner of the Mushroom Derby race, only because after winning, he declared himself the leader. He completely canceled the event so he would never be dethroned. We have a tyrannical dinosaur with drip on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. Boshi's one weakness, however, is cookies. He just like me for real. And Yoshi and Mario use that to their advantage by bribing him with cookies and challenging him to a one-on-one race. If Boshi wins, he simply keeps his spot as Yoshi Dictator, and if he loses, he concedes like the little bitch he is and promises to race fairly in the future. That's quite literally all of Boshi's lore that I know of, but I'll leave you with this passage from the player's guide. To the victor go the spoils, goes the old saying. In Boshi's case, that would be modified to say, to the victor go the cookies. Boshi may seem tough on the outside with his studded collar and mirrored shades, but he has a weakness for cookies that may unsaddle him in the end. He can no more resist a race when a cookie is at stake than Mario can resist helping people in need. Shut up, bro. Once you defeat the bully, you can leave your winnings with one of Yoshi's pals and return to the race later in the game. Even in defeat, Boshi will want to race if a cookie is the prize. Boshi would obviously fit snugly in a cart, and it would be pretty cool to get a rival for Yoshi in the game, so fuck it. It's Boshi time. And it's also time to figure out who is gonna replace Pauline. Let's see. The final pick. I'm gonna rummage around in here for a second, and I'm gonna pick that one. What do we got? We've got, bam! Robo-Mario. Robo-Mario is a very unique character, having only ever appeared in Mario Kart Arcade GP and Mario Kart Arcade GP 2. There we go, folks. We have an actual Mario Kart native character. I mean, that's a rarity for this series. Robo-Mario is obviously a robotic version of Mario, which was apparently built by Professor E. Gadd. Why he decided to build this, I guess we'll never know. Robo-Mario is maybe the most unique Mario Kart related character in existence, because he was only featured in the arcade spin-off, which far less people have played than the mainline games, but also because he wasn't even playable. That's right, Robo-Mario was in the game but only appeared as a boss CPU for players to race against. Now, I've played Mario Kart Arcade GP, but I've never shilled out enough tokens to get to the Rainbow Cup, let alone the special Rainbow Cup. Why do I mention 2 random cups from the arcade game? Well, because those are the cups where you have to beat Robo-Mario, and let me tell you, he is apparently quite the piece of work. In the Robo-Mario challenges, players have to beat him on a track with no item boxes, where Robo-Mario can and will spawn infinite items to fuck you up. Can't catch up to the real Robotic Nightmare? Too bad, have 15 bananas. Getting too much of a lead on him? Here's 6 green shells, 4 red shells, and a black shell? The hell is that? Now, quite possibly the most interesting part about Robo-Mario is that EGAD was cooking so hard that he whipped up 2 different models of the Electric Plumber. The first model is the one that you see on your screen here, Black Robo-Mario. There's actually a second variant that you face in the special Rainbow Cup, which is Silver Robo-Mario. You know me, I love me some variety, so of course, Silver Robo-Mario is coming in as a reskin option for the boy. He simply looks too cool, and the tiny bit of lore surrounding the character is enough for me to not be throwing out reskin allegations. Robo-Mario honestly would be a pretty sick pick, especially if I can get the chromed out version. Well, you Funky Kong fanatics, that is unfortunately gonna do it for this action-packed Mario Kart Ultimate episode. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it and that it was worth the wait. Look out for part 7 in the future, and of course, go get caught up in the series if you haven't yet. What are you still doing here? And for my own sake, I am obligated to ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel as we are pushing ever closer to 1,000 subs, and your support goes a long way for me. Plug section.
Plug.
If you really enjoyed the content and want to see more things like the intro song, then be sure to check out my Patreon, where for only $3 a month you can help make making these videos just a little bit easier. Also, big thanks to Huddy, Cubes, and Teddy Westside for helping me make that banger intro. Huddy, Cubes, and Teddy Westside are all extremely talented musicians and their music slaps, so I've left links to their stuff in the description. You're welcome. If you want to hear more of my Mario Kart music, then be sure to check out Shottyflo on any music streaming platform. I also make non-Mario Kart related music with Huddy under the name Stony Brooks, so I would love it if you went and checked that out too. Also, a gigantic thanks to my Patreon supporters, Jackson, Hudson, and Jake. You guys truly are the best, and I cannot thank you enough. But yeah, that's about it for me today. Shotty out. Deuces!